What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about DC Universe Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton issue number 1. This is a one-shot tie-in to the Lazarus Planet storyline. I already talked about Lazarus Planet Alpha last week. I talked about Monkey Prince issue number 10 earlier on today, and also Nightwing 100, so check those videos out. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the Assault on Krypton tie-in, and then I was going to do a video on Batgirls, then hopefully by at least tomorrow I can get out the world's finest one. So, and then I should be all good for the week. So, cool. But anyways, so let's talk about this one. This one is set during the events of Lazarus Planet Alpha. So the issue opens up. There's 4 stories sprinkled in this one. There's a Dreamer-focused one. There's one about John Kent. There's one focused on Mercy Graves, and then there's one focused on Power Girl, and they all sort of tie into the events. The best one is the Dreamer one, because basically Dreamer's been having these visions of the Helmet of Fate and can see into the future, and then Dreamer ends up in the location where this one's actually written by Nicole Maines, who actually played Dreamer, if I'm not mistaken, on Supergirl. So I think it's kind of cool how the person playing the character gets to write the character, because, you know, they understand the character better than most. So that's actually kind of cool. And Dreamer is a pretty likable character in this thing, very heroic and no kind of nonsense, like just a likable persona. So anyways, so as the issue opens up, Damian is really disappointed in himself, upset about the whole situation, about how he was manipulated in that, and he shouldn't be acting like a child in that. Kara's there to kind of reassure him about the things that are going on there, and that's when Dreamer comes in. And from this point onward, they're talking about the whole Helmet of Fate situation, which I believe was destroyed or is fractured into pieces. I think it's been kind of remolded, if you will, via the Lazarus pits, because the Helmet of Fate infected them all and caused this Lazarus volcano to infect the whole entire planet all at once, caused this Lazarus magic superstorm. And thus we're going to get a bunch of metahumans and all sorts of other powers, and they're going to change. So that's where the whole dawn of DCU is, and everything's going to be infected, and people are going to change, and so on and so forth. Dreamer's there talking about how they need the helmet to kind of undo some of the damage done here. That's when Batman wakes up from his injuries. He said the current owner of the Helmet of Fate is Khalid and Nasur, and if they find him, they can find the Helmet of Fate, even though the helmet was in the control of Neza. So however that works, there's some sort of mind link there, and Dreamer thinks about doing some dream walking, if you will, to locate Khalid, but isn't successful in the way that you would think. So Dreamer finds Khalid, and then that's basically where the voice within the helmet, who is also linked to Khalid somehow, because Neza has him in some sort of deep state of sleep, and that's where Dreamer is able to kind of locate the Helmet of Fate in kind of a dream sense and sort of become merged with it or become a host to it all. I don't exactly know how it all works. Dreamer's powers, given that it's dream walking, that can be kind of iffy, but it is a rather interesting one, and I like the artwork in this particular issue, and I think it's like I said, I think it works for the most part. I think out of the 4 issues in here, this one feels like the most important one to read. The other stuff, not so much. The second issue is one with John Kent and some character named Ash, who is shoplifting, and Ash is, I guess, gonna try and become sort of a Catwoman to John Kent's Superman, if you will. He kind of flirts with John throughout the issue. At least this Ash character has some charm and charisma to him. He's basically shoplifting and just kind of toying around and messing with John for most of the issue. John throws him basically into jail, and he breaks out at one point. He even steals John's cape, and yeah, so he was kind of interesting, if you will. It says it's going to continue the adventures of Superman number 1. John loses his cape, and he also gains some sort of weird electric powers, sort of, if you will. But yeah, so that's something electric. I don't know how Jay Nakamura is going to feel about this unless he's still around. I don't know. I didn't read some of the recent Action Comics stuff right now. I think their Superman's identity was restored, if you will. So did everything else not happen? I don't know. I have to kind of go back and look at that stuff, because current continuity at DC is just a confusing mess at this point. So anyways, we're going to be getting John's series. The John storyline was just kind of okay, but I'll say this about this Ash character: at least he was charismatic. So I can appreciate that, I guess. The rest of it's just kind of an underwhelming story, but we're just setting the stage for more things to come, if you will. The next one's actually a pretty decent one, too. This one is a Mercy Graves-focused one, and you see how she's basically Lex Luthor's right-hand henchman, and she gets her own powers after getting struck by the Lazarus Storm. Her powers are kind of weird, and in that she has like these weird like she can kind of like turn into like any sort of weapon, kind of like a cyborg, if you will, and she's able to kind of stop all this stuff from going wrong at Lex Luthor's place and at LexCorp, and use her abilities. So she's actually just becoming more of a better I don't know what you call, like, assistant to Luthor, because Mercy Graves' top priority is always looking out for Lex Luthor and LexCorp. Although Lex Luthor this time around seemed to be written a little bit kind of clueless and not as in charge, if you will, as I'd expect Luthor. He doesn't even get into a suit at one point when things are starting to go crazy. You'd think he'd be looking around and trying to analyze things a little bit better and taking charge of the situation. But no, Mercy kind of does that. She's looking out for LexCorp and its assets and accounting and everything else involving with it. So I like the showcasing of Mercy, and I think her getting all these powers could be kind of unique and such. So there you go. And then the last storyline is focused on Power Girl. This one is just kind of bizarre. Basically, after her and Zatanna, Mary, and all that were fighting the Silverhorn King, one of one of Nezda's adoptive sons, the Firebolt Kings. Two main things: there was the silver and there was the gold one. Basically, they had this big fight here, and then she doesn't remember how she ended up in this weird psychic, telepathic place or whatever. The environment is kind of changing around her. At one point, she comes across Omen, who was very happy to see her for some reason. Now, Omen is a character I don't think we've seen since the Titans Rebirth book. Not Teen Titans Rebirth, Titans. That's right. You had Teen Titans and Titans going on simultaneously at one point, which is strange to think about because we had two books going on with the name at the same time. The Titans book was okay. I just remember Omen being a part of that, but basically she's just like, oh, I can't wait to find out your powers, Power Girl, and that's basically where that one ends. So yeah, she kind of got knocked around and ends up there, but as you can see here, Dawn of the DCU, we've got a bunch of books coming up. I am looking forward to the Superman #1, mostly because I liked what Williamson did with Robin. Wasn't a huge fan of what he did with Dark Crisis, but when he focuses on kind of a smaller group of characters, I think he does good for the most part. And then Green Arrow is another one I'm looking forward to as well. So there's some interesting stuff coming out. So yeah, in terms of the Lazarus Planet stuff, the only story I really kind of liked in here was the Dreamer one, just to see how it ties into the story, and having to like get the Helmet of Fate and Dreamer's powers were kind of unique and such. The John Kent one, you could have really done without it. It's kind of just a little side story. It's not half bad. At least, like I said, the Ash character had some charisma. The Mercy one, Mercy getting some unique cybernetic powers and stuff could be kind of cool, and just there's a lot of potential there with having Lex Luthor's I don't know, I guess Lex Luthor's closest associate out of everyone on the entire planet being, like, having some metahuman abilities, or cybernetic, or whatever you want to call it. And then the last story was just kind of okay, just some interesting artwork, but I have no idea what to make of it and what direction they're going to go in with it. So, yeah, in terms of the two Lazarus Planet tie-ins that came out today, I enjoyed the Monkey Prince one a little bit more, but I think that's because I've actually enjoyed Monkey Prince as a whole, reading all 10 issues. I think that is an underrated series, but this one's all right. It's not a bad tie-in, but it's nothing to really write home about. So, yeah, I mean, at least Lazarus Planet so far isn't bad. There's been nothing that's really just annoyed me or irked me or made me think, oh, this is just awful or just a waste of time entirely, like a lot of the Dark Crisis tie-ins were. But then again, we're only in week 2, so we'll see where we end up next week as this event continues and ties into more stuff and just another event, because that's what DC needs, more events. So there you go. There's my quick thoughts on Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications. That's going to wrap it up for this video. I still got to talk about Batgirls next, and I still need to read and then do a review on World's Finest. That may come out tomorrow, because I like to space out the videos a little bit, just not overwhelm everyone on the channel all at once. So there you go. But anyways, if you have any thoughts on it, post them down below. And as always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.